Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. And we'd also like to welcome you back to Stay Out of the Water Month, where we take a look at some of the scariest movies in the ocean. On today's episode, we'll be reviewing Jaws 3D. I'll give you a quick summary. Now working for a brand new SeaWorld theme park, Michael Brody, the son of Chief Martin Brody, must find a way to save lives and defeat a 35-foot great white shark that has found its way into the park via an entrance from the ocean. With the help of his girlfriend Catherine, his brother Sean, and the rest of the park workers, can Michael step up like his father did and stop this menace? Not to mention, this is all in glorious 3D.
Oh, goody.
No, this movie's bad. I don't even know where to start. John, did you ever see this movie before?
No.
Yeah,
Not until this time.
it's funny because I remember.
And then when I watched it,
Yeah.
I was ashamed that I had to watch it.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like when you watch Jaws on television, right? Especially when we were kids, Jaws 1 was always on, right? And then you had Jaws 2 was on, I would say sparingly, oddly. And then this one was never on TV. I don't remember seeing it on TV at least. And then there was Jaws: The Revenge, which I do remember seeing, on occasion that one was on. But
Oh, did you?
yeah, but this movie's just bad to the bone. And I hate to use that stupid, expression there. It's just everything about this is bad. I don't want to. Let's talk a couple positives. So, I think the movie takes place in SeaWorld, right?
Yes.
But it's not the real SeaWorld. Let's make that clear. This is not the real SeaWorld.
It's not the SeaWorld that we know today.
No, it's not the real SeaWorld. It's another SeaWorld. It's so stupid.
Because it takes place
But
in the
weirdly, it's advertising SeaWorld.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It's
Universal Pictures.
Yes, it's not the real SeaWorld, but it is SeaWorld.
I mean, I
if
guess
that makes any sense.
guess technically it is a SeaWorld because it's in the sea and it happens somewhere in the world.
Yeah, okay.
So
I also want to add there is a whale mascot in this movie. I want to say there was a scene where there was a whale mascot running with some children. I think that was actually more scary than the shark that was in this movie. That whale is going to give me nightmares for the rest of my life. If I can, I'll try to find a picture and put it in this review just so people see what I'm talking about. But that whale will give you nightmares. That was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
you know what's funny?
It hurts
too. When you talk about it like as it's SeaWorld, they also have like what is known as like Shamu Stadium too. Like they have everything down for SeaWorld, but
It's
then
not
they're
SeaWorld.
like, it's not SeaWorld.
No, it's not. Don't say it's SeaWorld. Stop it. It's not the real
Listen.
SeaWorld, obviously.
Obviously, these are what SeaWorld people would do.
Apparently.
If they could get a shark, they'd keep it.
So let's start with. So I think the idea is semi-interesting. At least it tried to do something a little different. It's really stupid that these people Michael is the son of Brody from the other. Why did that have to be? I don't understand how that they had to continue the torture this poor family with more shark attacks. But not even that. I think the idea is semi-interesting to where I like the idea that they have an open exhibit to where the sea life can come in and out as they please. I think that's kind of cool. I do think that's a cool idea. Does it work with a shark attack? I don't think so, but I think that idea is kind of cool.
So I agree with that too. Like, it would be cool though if they could do that, but like, there's no way that you're ever gonna get the animals to come back.
No. But not even,
Like,
yeah. I mean, logically, it doesn't work. Probably not necessarily, but I mean, it's at least it's an interesting idea. So, but I want to go into a little more detail with the plot too, because so what happens is they bring in a baby shark first, right? They find this baby shark, Dennis Quaid and his girlfriend, and they bring it in. They take care of it, and then it dies, like out of nowhere. It just randomly like. It's kind of funny because it's like a stupid looking styrofoam thing, and it just like it floats like kind of upside down into the side. It looks really stupid. It doesn't even move, and it's like, oh no, the
oh
baby's
no,
dead. Oh no. And then I guess
right?
the mother comes for revenge, or looking for the baby, but ultimately wants revenge now. I'm assuming that's the plot. It's never really stated, what that's about. But
They never had a plot to this movie.
no. And there's dolphins that save people's lives. We'll get
You
into
know
that.
what?
Yeah.
You know what my problem is too?
What?
The problem I have is when they show the dolphins and then they show the shark.
Ugh.
Because the dolphin makes the shark look so much more fake than it already started to be
Right.
that it's terrible.
No, it is.
It's like, how could you do such a terrible job with your shark?
No. So let's talk about again. We'll try to stay in the positive. So I think again we both agree that the idea is interesting, right? The idea is there. It's somewhat interesting. Okay, that
Yeah.
works. I think Dennis Quaid was fine, to be honest. He wasn't anything special. He's the best actor in this movie, so I think he was a
Stop
positive.
not saying much.
No, he's automatically likable. It's funny. Whenever I see Dennis Quaid, I automatically think of Harrison Ford. I feel like they could be brothers in real life. They have that like familiarity about them, which I really like. Again, I think he's really likable. I feel bad he was in this movie. I forgot he was even in this movie, to be honest, once we had to rewatch it. He was fine. Leia Thompson's in the movie. She's barely in it. She's one of the trainers there. She's from Back to the Future, one of my favorite movies of all time. So she was fine. The best character in this movie, though, right? You ready for this?
Oh, I'm
Is
ready.
Phillips Fitzroyce, right? So he's the guy with the weird accent who's always in the movie. He's like,
Oh, that
we'd have to
guy.
kill the shark. He has some of the best lines in this movie. I was like rolling every time this man spoke. And again, I'm not supposed to be like, this is not supposed to be a comedy, but whenever that man spoke, I wanted to like, I just can't. He just, every time he spoke, I was cracking up. He was the worst thing in this movie. The worst, best thing in this movie. I thought
It's a
he was
lot of
fine.
those.
Yeah. And only other last positive I'd give it, I think the soundtrack was actually still decent. It's still we didn't falter completely yet at this point.
Not
Um,
yet.
I thought it was fine. Good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Serviceable. I wouldn't say it's above average or anything, but it made some of this more enjoyable to an
I
extent.
mean, it's kind of funny how the movies go downhill. Each one they did,
Yeah.
the soundtrack slowly goes downhill.
Right.
It's almost like you're just waiting for an explosion.
No. So let's get into the negatives, which there's quite a few,
Oh,
unfortunately. Uh, the effects are terrible in this movie. It's funny that the oldest movie in the series looks the best as we go. I don't know if it's the 3D, if it was the transfer, but my copy of this when I was watching it, and I bought the Blu-ray release of this, the Universal Blu-ray, I couldn't see a thing half the time. It was so grainy. It was just like grainy, and I think that has something to do with like the 3D effect that they were trying to add. So I watched this in 2D, and
oh,
the fact is like whenever something 3D would happen, it was in that period of time where it was like shove it in your face. It was like that was 3D. Like look, here's a eel head in your face. Oh, here's a body in your face. Oh, 3D. Whoa. It went for a lot of that, and that's absolutely terrible.
terrible.
It's terrible. It's a gimmick. It's a really bad gimmick, and it's still around to some extent today. And when they make 3D, uh, I'm glad. I think we moved a little beyond that at this point, though. I would
Yeah,
hope.
definitely.
Um, the other big sin this movie makes is it's boring, just like the last one, but even more
Oh,
boring. Nothing really happens. There's a lot of talking about nonsense, which I don't think they even know what they're talking about. When they're
no.
talking about, we got the baby shark we found, and the mother's coming, and what do we have to do? And then the opening the park politics that make no sense because this isn't really SeaWorld yet. It's still Sea. I could keep going to that because that's really what they talk about. I mean, even the underwater scenes are boring. And the reason they're so boring is There's no tension in this movie because I barely understand what's happening half the time because it makes no sense logically. Uh, Bad direction. I mean, either the actors are all terrible, everyone's just doing what they want. The camera is all over the place. It doesn't focus in on what's important. It doesn't give me any idea of, what I'm supposed to be looking at. Even when there's like a big scene, it looks terrible. There's weird zoom
Yeah.
ins and zoom outs, and no, it's just none of the characters are interesting. Besides the one guy I like I said, I brought him up. Whatever his face was, I think he was good.
Yeah.
Fitzroyce, I think just because he's funny, just because he says like stupid things that made me laugh. That's the only reason. But otherwise, no one's interested. Even Dennis Quaid, I don't care about his issue with his girlfriend about should he marry her, shouldn't he marry her, kind of thing. And it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. I agree.
No,
And the one big problem that I have with this movie
yeah,
is really a simple problem.
right,
So when they go to look for that missing guy,
yeah.
and they go in that little thing that they want to call a submarine.
So give pretext. So one of the workers is attacked by a shark earlier on in the movie, and for the whole movie they don't know where he is. He's like, oh, he's just drunk. He's probably drunk somewhere, missing. And eventually they're like, oh, well, maybe he's not. Maybe he's somewhere. And then they go to search for him, and now they're in a submarine. So go ahead. So now we're here. There's a
So
submarine under the ocean, which I did notice. Sorry to cut you off again. I did notice in every Jaws movie, there's an underwater wreckage scene,
that's true.
which is weird. Not weird. It's just it's a coincidence. I guess they like putting that in there. Wait till we get to the next movie. But right now, like I said, they're in an underwater submarine. Okay, so they're in an underwater submarine.
So they're in the underwater submarine. They have their go past these people. They can see them and everything.
Right.
And they go look, and then the dolphins tell them that the shark's coming, and then they get chased by the shark.
Right.
But then when they go to eventually capture the shark,
Right.
all of a sudden they have like the high tech breathing apparatuses now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's no longer just a CO2 tank attached to like a thing to go over your mouth.
Yeah.
It's like an actual regular one. And I thought that was the worst. That just made me. It was so stupid in a way of like, what the heck is going on in this movie?
Right?
That something has to happen like that where I had to watch two dumb people go in a submarine type thing. Where then it was weird because they're in a submarine type thing with their breathing apparatus, which is literally that mask attached to a CO2 tank.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, to them going into full gear with having chainmail over her body, but not over her head. So going, okay, the shark will attack my head. And the whole thing just seemed so bad. I was like, oh my.
No.
I can't take it seriously.
No, it's not even that. I think even a bigger offense are just the dolphins in general in this movie. The dolphins actually, funny enough, the dolphins actually won a Razzie. I think it was one of the first animals to win a Razzie award in the movie because they're so stupid. Like they make the screeching dolphins that don't even make dolphin noises. They're literally they fight a shark and they save everybody. It makes no sense. This movie's just a train wreck. I almost want to say, to the movie's credit, I want to say that it's almost so bad it's good. It's getting there. It's I would say watch. I would recommend still watching this movie. Don't watch it because it's a good movie. Just watch it to see how bad it is. Because there's still some enjoyment to be had. I mean, seeing dolphins saving people against a giant fake shark will blow your mind.
I think that's the only thing that helped SeaWorld in this movie.
Yeah,
People
right.
would come see their dolphins.
Seriously, I think that was part of the marketing, even though it's not SeaWorld. But remember, it's not SeaWorld.
Not SeaWorld.
SeaWorld,
Happens
but not SeaWorld.
Happens at Shamu Stadium, not SeaWorld.
Yeah. Another fun fact: Joseph Alves was the director of this movie was the production designer for Jaws 2. He also did a lot of Steven Spielberg movies. He also did Close Encounters. He did Escape from New York. So he's a really good designer. Especially like those movies all have iconic looks to them. This was his first and only movie he directed. So that should tell you something. I guess he couldn't cut it.
No, he
He,
should stick to what he's
he
good
should have
at,
stuck with what he was good at because this
not
movie.
directing.
No, this movie's just it's a terrible, and it's hard to believe it only gets worse from here. That being
Well,
said, I want to give my final score. Uh, I'm gonna give Jaws 3D an F.
ooh,
It's bad. It's bad. I do think it tends to fall under the category of it's so bad it's good to maybe give it a watch. It's not a good movie, but if you go in, you're really drunk with a couple people, I think you'll have
really
a good
drunk.
time. I think you'll have a good time just laughing at the nonsense, especially
Put on
because
your
the good
put
thing
on your
is,
3D glasses.
right, if you watch it in 3D, hey, I haven't done that. That's something I do want to test. I might update this if I ever get the chance to watch the 3D version. I do have the capability, it's the time's the problem. But if I ever do, I'll try to do that. I think if you're drunk with a bunch of people, you could be, number one, you'll be buzzed, so you'll be having a good time, right? Number two, you can talk to your friends and make fun of the movie during all the boring scenes, and you
Which
just
is
get
like
right through it. I
everything.
think I think you can have a good time. I think this is a good party movie to toss on. John, where are you at with Jaws 3D?
Oh, I give this an F.
Ooh.
I also want to get to one part, like, too, that we didn't talk about, where it's just so random when his brother arrives.
Yeah, we didn't talk about
Because his
that. Sean
his
does come in this
brother
movie. Yeah.
his brother arrives,
Hmm.
and he kind of like is way too close to his like girlfriend too, in a weird way.
They're like
It's a
best friends and like never met before. I think.
I don't know, like
Yeah,
they're all kissy and huggy, and it's so weird. It's like,
it's a little
what's going on
uncomfortable.
here?
It's funny
That's why
that yeah,
why this movie gets an F.
yeah, it's weird because they bring Sean in because Michael works at the park, and then they said Sean lives in, I think, he's going to school in Colorado. He has like a cowboy hat, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm from the mainland. I had to get away from the ocean because of all the stuff that happened to me and my family." And he's kind of not really in the movie after that. Like he's in scenes, but I feel like he doesn't
Yeah,
contribute much to this movie. He's just kind of there.
no,
I don't know. Again, following this poor Brody family, it only gets worse from here for that family. I don't know why they decide to do that.
just like this franchise.
Yeah, but anyway, John, where can the people find us at home?
You can find us on YouTube at The Real Movie Guys. We would like you to come like our channel, subscribe.
Please.
You can also find us on Twitter at The Real Movie Guy. You can also listen to us on many platform podcast locations.
Indeed. For your listening pleasure, we are also available on podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places if you already are right now. Hey, we greatly appreciate it. Just search Real Movie Guy and we'll pop right up. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. Remember, it's Stay Out of the Water Month, so we do have another spicy water movie coming your way. You'll see what it is. I think you figured it out. Anyway, my name is Kevin. This guy over here, he's John. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Remember, stay out of the water. We'll catch you next time.
See you.